I kind of want to start doing it. I haven't, there's a lot on there I haven't been to, so.
Oh, and there's Ella and Jeanette. Oh my gosh, it's great to see you guys actually inside.
Hello.
Hi, Ella. Great to see you. Hey, Jeanette, how you doing?
Good, how about you?
Well, we're doing fine. So you made it home okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, did you see I posted your rap on the Facebook page?
Oh, we have to still check it out. But we went to Facebook when we got home and saw some of the pictures already. So I have to look at the.
Well, we posted your comments with the mayor, and it was just, you were so good. So take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody looked at it yet, but I haven't checked.
We'll check it out for sure.
Okay. Hey, Sarah, great to see you. Thank you for reporting. Good. All right. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Jen, how are you? Good to see you. And Vicky's on from America's Boating Club in Cincinnati. It's wonderful to have you guys on board. And Jeff, thank you for joining us from Claremont, Discover Claremont. Appreciate it very much. John, good to see you with a tie instead of a life jacket.
Yeah, cleaned up. How are you, Chris? Hi, everybody.
I'm waking up. I'm doing fine.
Good, good.
And Madison with Rural Action, right? Great to have you, Chris Klingman, with the Claremont County Parks. It's wonderful. Brandon, thanks for joining us from up your way in Columbus area. Cool. Okay, Mackenzie, thank you. People are jumping on. Rick, cool. Eric, thank you, man. We got Rails to Trails in the house. That's wonderful. Hey, Chris Klingman, I dropped off a box of the guides at the museum the other day. You probably know that already. Mark Long, thank you. Kelly, cool. People are joining us. John Olivier with the National Park Service. John, great to have you, buddy.
Good to be here.
Okay, you're looking sharp. And Katie Sparks says the adventure guide, the guide to the Ohio Riverway looks great. We're waiting a little bit, obviously, as people jump on but think about, hey, Lauren Anderson with the Environment Institute. Thank you. And Nia, our wonderful board member. Nice to see you, Nia. That's great.
Good morning.
Good morning. Look at that fish that you have. Oh my gosh, that's great. We love it. Okay. So folks, if you could take a moment to put your name and your organizational affiliation and where you're from in the chat. Okay, that'd be great, so everybody knows who's in the house as people arrive. Scott Gafford from Claremont County. Wonderful, Scott. Good to have you. So your name and organization affiliation in the chat. Gary, good to have you. Thank you. Okay, Mark Allen. Geez, that's great. So once again, your name, your organization affiliation, and where you are from, so people know who's in the house. Matt, good to have you, buddy. Catfish. And we'll get started in just a few moments. Oh, great. Bob from New Richmond, city manager. That's great. Wonderful. And Mackenzie from Evansville Trails Coalition. It's great to have you guys downstream joining with us. Thank you very much. And Mark Jacobs, thank you very much. Mark, you'll hear from Mark a little later on for the Conservation Committee. All right, we're getting there. Please put your name and your organization affiliation and where you're from in the chat so we know who's in the house. And while you're doing that, folks, Perry, thank you for joining us. Want to let everybody know that Dr. David Wicks with River City Paddle Sports and the vice chair of the board of the Ohio Riverway on Tuesday was recognized with a big award. So I just want to give a shout out to David. He got the award for the National Garden Club of America Elizabeth Abernathy Hull Award for his work with environmental education over the past 50 years in the greater Louisville area and internationally. So it was a big surprise. David didn't know it was coming. And so hats off to him for that top level National Garden Club Award for Dr. David Wicks. Give him a shout out, everybody. All right.
Excellent.
All right. That's very cool. Okay, folks. So for the next couple of minutes, quick question here. Is there something that you would like to share about what's going on in your community? And these are 15, 20-second shout outs. So just take yourself off mute and jump in. Something exciting that's happening, some new development, an amazing event you just had or planned. Jump in. No need to raise your hand. Who's first?
Hey, this is Jen Shepard. I'm a resident in Newport, Kentucky, and also trying to make a paddling facility on the confluence of the Ohio and Licking River. We've had some great things going on. We just had a fundraiser last week, having another one coming up this weekend. And we are working with the universities, NKU and UC DAP, to work with the students for a design for a storage for kayak, canoe, SUP, and bike storage system. So you can check it out. The event for the fundraiser is on the website for ORW.
Great, well, wonderful. Thank you. So imagine a container, perhaps, or some other way of storing canoes and kayaks close to the river, so you don't have to haul it all over the place, and with a combination lock, and people pay a membership fee. So it's a model that could be replicated up and down the river, Jen. So we look forward to sharing your success with everybody else. Anybody else? Anything that's happening that's exciting? Go ahead.
Yeah, in Indiana, for those who do not know, we have an additional $30 million available for another round of Next Level Trails. The webinar, I believe, was last week on that, but applications will be accepted throughout July. So if you have a good trail project, by all means, get an application in.
And Mark, let everybody know who you are.
Oh, Alan Hurst, I'm a trails coordinator with the Indiana DNR.
So he's the trail king in Indiana. So we're grateful for your participation. But anybody else? Something that's happened recently or exciting, or something that's coming up? Jump in. A great chance.
West Point just received a $50,000 bank stabilization grant to hopefully rebuild the riverfront in West Point.
Very cool, Mayor. It's always good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Anybody else? We have another 30 seconds. Mary Allen.
I got one. The Great Parks, and I'll do this on behalf of Great Parks unless there's somebody here from Great Parks in the Cincinnati area. One of the major tributaries to the Ohio is the Great Miami, and they are in the process of doing some listening sessions and more planning around the areas of inside their purview that is associated to the Great Miami River. So I'm going to put the link, I'm going to put the contact information from the Great Parks person into the link in case people are interested in that. And it's got great proximity to the Indiana side. So if you're over there, pay attention to what Great Parks is agitating about. Excellent. For the Great Miami.
Thank you, Francis. Mary Allen.
This is just a small thing. The Village of New Richmond, historic New Richmond, is having a Juneteenth program on Monday.
Wonderful.
So if you're in the vicinity, 6:30, come by Second Baptist Church.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. And I see that Dr. David Wicks was not on the call when I was giving him a shout out about his award, David, but everybody now knows about the award you got from the National Garden Club of America for being an amazing guy nationally and internationally. So hats off.
Well, thank you very much, Brewster. Sorry for the delay on getting on, but it was a wonderful event, and I just wish I could have joined you all in DC, but so be it. My wife is a sneaky person. That's all I can say.
So she pulled a fast one on you, right?
She did.
All right. It was a total surprise. Well, wonderful, folks. Let's get into the agenda. If you haven't already done so, please put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat, as well as what community you are from, so folks know who's in the house. And we have 63 people right now. I'm sure we'll have some more people joining us. And let me first say, I'm Brewster Rhodes. I'm the chair of the Ohio Riverway Board. And Dr. David Wicks is our vice chair, as I mentioned. We have a number of board members on the call, plus so many member organizations represented, communities, nonprofits, counties, et cetera. So we're so glad to have you all. It's been a crazy busy last 3 or 4 weeks for us and for many of you, I know. So we're still recovering from 10 days on the Ohio, and we had a chance to meet with so many of you. But we have a packed agenda. We'd like to buzz through it because there's meaty, interesting, important stuff here that can benefit, we hope, everybody on the call. So once again, your name, organization affiliation, and where you are from in the chat. And let's begin with something that's very exciting, and that is an advocacy day organized by the Ohio River Basin Alliance on Capitol Hill that some of us had a chance to go to for promoting a restoration plan for the Ohio River Basin. It occurred on Tuesday. We had a wonderful time meeting members of Congress and others, and I'd like to have Forrest Clevenger, our wonderful administrative and communications coordinator who played a key role with that, make a quick presentation about what happened and what the follow-up could and should be for all of us in the Ohio Riverway. Forrest, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brewster. And Jordan, I did just see that you hopped on if you would like to say anything about your role in this.
Yeah, we'd love to have Jordan chip in. Jordan Lubikin with the National Wildlife Federation, but go ahead once you started, Forrest. Yeah.
Okay. So we just got back from DC and we spent all of Tuesday there and part of Monday and Wednesday. So we were there at an event organized by the Ohio River Basin Alliance in partnership with Orsenco and the National Wildlife Foundation. And the big thing we're talking about is restoration of the Ohio River on a large scale, on the scale of hundreds of millions of dollars, comparable to restoration initiatives in other parts of the country, like the Great Lakes and Chesapeake Bay. And we need it. So these are some of the materials that we showed up there. So right now, the river has 40 million pounds of pollution from a variety of sources, including permitted industrial waste, municipal sewage overflows, which you might be familiar with, and agricultural runoff. Right now, there are waterways around the country receiving collectively billions of dollars in restoration funds. And this is incredible. It's been transformative. But right now, the Ohio River gets none, as you can see in this map, which ORWA prepared. Yeah, we get none. We get 1.4 million from the federal government to Orsenco for the purposes of monitoring, but we don't have restoration funds. It's a national issue. The Ohio River Basin is large, 15 states, 25 million people, and 5 million people get their drinking water from the river, probably many of us. And we would like to see funding that helps improve water quality, reduce flood damage, increases sustainable recreation, and restores wildlife habitat. But really for all of you all, I think you should know that this is more than just about the environment. As much as we love the environment and the river, what we've seen with other projects is that the effects are on par with a traditional economic development project. So in the Great Lakes, for every federal dollar spent, there was $3.35 return in tourism, higher home values, and new jobs. So to put it in a sentence, restoring the Ohio River would help communities like ours protect the water and grow recreation-based economies. So while we were in DC, the Ohio Riverway also had some meetings just about the Ohio Riverway. Here's our team. A little photo on top of the Department of the Interior. We met with the National Park Service and the Appalachian Regional Commission, the Deputy Director, Mike Reynolds of the National Park Service, and Gail Manchin, co-chair of the ARC, about how we can get federal support, which the National Park Service is already supporting us in this, but continue that partnership and to hopefully receive funding from the ARC as we build out recreational opportunities on the river and really turn the river into a national water trail. But these meetings went well, and just wanted to give you all an update on that, and we'll keep you posted as things keep moving along.
Great. Well, thank you, Forrest. And while we have Jordan here, Jordan, if you could briefly share what the National Wildlife Federation has done on behalf of the broad coalition called ORWA, the Ohio River Basin Alliance, that hopefully we can help you share information about that restoration plan and help build grassroots support for federal funding to be invested in our community. So Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, well, thanks, Brewster. And I think Forrest hit it out of the park. I mean, we're trying to get our fair share, right? Get what other ecosystems get. We have all these federal programs that invest millions of dollars. These programs produce results for our drinking water, for our recreation, for our health, as Forrest mentioned. And so briefly, where we are now, we're getting that draft plan ready. We'll issue that hopefully by the end of the summer, put it out for comment, finalize it, get it signed, sealed, and delivered to Congress in late 2023, early 2024. And the goal is to turn that into legislation that authorizes the federal government to invest funding and then start to get those appropriation investments to sort of help local communities, restore habitat, clean up toxic pollution, and all the things that go into a broad, comprehensive restoration plan. So yeah, Forrest hit it. You guys had a great delegation. I think the meetings went well, and I think this is all part of how we get the Ohio River congressional delegation unified and galvanized and energized to move in the same direction, because we're gonna need them to, no pun intended, but carry the water, like for all the restoration efforts that Forrest mentioned. And, it's been up to that local delegation to make it a national priority. And then the horse trading goes on, and, what happens in the Ohio River, they can say, hey, you're getting the Great Lakes, we want some of the Ohio River. And they say, sure. So yeah, I mean, just really fortunate and grateful to be working with you all. It's going to take all of us to get the job done. We all have an important role to play. And I think that was a nice first event, and hopefully we'll do these every year, and it'll continue to grow and grow. And we'll keep making this and then at the end of the day, making it a national priority to help the millions of people who live here. So appreciate it. And thanks for giving me a few minutes. But again, you guys have it covered. I do want to apologize that I'll have to jump off at 10:30, but appreciate all the work you all are doing. It was great to see you all in person in DC. So
no problem. You're a lot taller than I thought you were. But listen, just briefly, your plan will be finished sometime towards the end of this summer, early fall, with the intention that you have and the other partners within the Ohio River Basin Alliance to distribute that plan, to get feedback from every community along the Ohio and in the broader watershed. And so just to announce to all of you that we will work closely with ORWA and the National Wildlife Federation in getting that plan out to you. We'd be grateful for the feedback from each of your communities and organizations that will be channeled back to you, Jordan, so that the plan can be sharpened up and then revised. So the final plan is what we will be, you taking the leadership will be officially presenting to members of Congress. And it was exciting to see that we have, there are two co-chairs to the Ohio River Congressional Caucus, correct? Congressman McGarvey from the Louisville area and Congressman Johnson from Ohio, Republican and Democratic co-chairs. And each of them are mobilizing the other 58 members of Congress who represent districts that are in the watershed. So the goal is to have all 60 members of Congress be advocates for a plan, hopefully the one that we're presenting, to get federal funding. So unlike, well, we don't get anything essentially. Great Lakes gets $333 million this fiscal year alone, correct? More or less, right? So anyway, that's the deal. And are there any if there are any questions you all have, please put them in the chat while Jordan is here and Forrest can help. We can try to respond to you, but this is just a heads up that this is a big deal coming down the pike. Okay, thank you. Let's keep moving along here. The meat of our meeting, there are several big things that are coming up in this discussion here, but the next thing is our committee reports. And I know in the past, we've often had them towards the end of the meeting, but the meat of this coalition is folks working outside of these meetings on various projects. And I'm really excited that what's going on with the Orsanco-led River Sweep and River Cleanup Initiative, that committee. And fortunately, we have Sarah Seegers from Orsanco and Trish Novak, who is the co-chair with Annette Schumard from Orsanco with this project. So can you guys give us a quick update on how those cleanups are going? And maybe you can invite people to share what they're doing with their cleanups past and future. So who wants to take it away?
I'll go ahead and start. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Seegers. I'm the coordinator of the Ohio River Sweep program, as well as our 2,200 gallon mobile aquarium program. So we started our Ohio River Sweep season on March 1st. It runs through October 31st. And we provide free t-shirts, gloves, and bags to anyone that is scheduling a cleanup within that time period in the Ohio River Basin. And so far we've had 57 events. totaling 2,823 volunteers, and we've removed 45.26 tons of trash so far. And then additionally, we have 11 events scheduled in Kentucky, 17 in Ohio, 4 in Indiana, 6 in West Virginia, 2 in Pennsylvania, and 1 in Illinois. So in all 6 of the states bordering the Ohio River. We've been busy attending some sponsorship events as well. We were in Pennsylvania with Shell on June 2nd, in Canova, West Virginia with Brascom and Marathon on the 8th. And special shout out to Adams Brown Recycling in Adams County, and they've planned 7 different cleanups for June, all along the Ohio River. So we're really excited about the turnout from that. And we're currently doing an advertising push. Some of you might have seen our little ad space in the adventure guide for the Ohio Riverway. And then we're also currently pushing some ads on social media, as well as looking to get some digital print ads to push through the second half of the season. And big thank you to anyone that has hosted a cleanup already. If you have knowledge of anyone that wants to host a cleanup, you can direct them to our website. We've got a supply request form where they can fill out, and that's how we get the supplies ready for them. Just need about 2 weeks notice for us to get the supplies ready. Additionally, they can reach out to me via email. So that's my update for Ohio River Sweep. And I also had an update about our 75th event. Brewster, is that okay if I just go ahead and share that?
That's fine.
Perfect. So this year, Orsanco is celebrating its 75th anniversary. So 75 years of helping protect Ohio River water quality, as well as wanting to celebrate all the partners that help make it possible. So we are holding an anniversary event at Castellini Esplanade in Snail Riverfront Park. I'm going to go ahead and drop our event website in the chat. Additionally, with my email, in case anyone has any questions following everything I'm saying. So on the event on the 28th, it's going to be at Snail Riverfront Park from 1 to 4 p.m. And we're going to have our 2,200-gallon mobile aquarium there, as well as booths from 20 partner agencies, including Ohio Riverway, Adventure Cruise Cincinnati, Mill Creek Alliance. The list goes on and on and on. So again, celebrating all the partners that help make it possible. We're hoping to have this be a family-friendly event. We've asked all of our partner booths to be bringing some sort of interactive programming, something to engage the public, to talk about everything we're doing to protect the water quality, and hopefully excite them about all the work that we're doing. So on our event website, there is an event flyer that can be downloaded, but if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to share all of that information with you. But yeah, we would love to promote this event as much as possible and get as many people out there as we can on that Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it very much. And maybe we have a quick moment if there's anybody who has a big cleanup coming up, or just had a great successful cleanup who could share it for 15 seconds. If there was anybody, just start speaking out.
I'll just jump in and say that there's 3 cleanups in Adams County this weekend. They go from 9 till 12 at Manchester Boat Ramp, Wrightsville Boat Ramp, and Rome Boat Ramp. And I put the information in the chat with phone numbers. If anybody wants to come out to the county and participate, you can call any of those volunteers.
We have one.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Jody.
We have one. This is Kristen with River Heritage Conservancy. We have one going on this Sunday, kind of in celebration of Father's Day. It's an Orsanco cleanup and a park-to-park paddle that David and his crew are going to be joining us for, happily. So we're going to have options of either staying on the shore and cleaning up on the Indiana side and the Kentucky side at 2 different parks. And there are going to be people paddling from one park to Sand Island and then over to Louisville to finish up the paddle.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. That sounds exciting. Anybody
and
else?
Then we're having another one in September too. We have a meeting about that right after this Zoom.
You're rocking it. Thank you so much. What great leadership. Anybody else have a report on cleanup work?
This is the city reporter. I just wanted to give a shout out to Denise Rose of our Parks Department. We just recently had one, and they cleared around 60 contractor bags worth of trash.
And this is from Aurora, Indiana?
Correct.
Very good to see you. thanks so much, guys, for all your leadership and for your deep engagement in this project. Good. Anybody else?
This is Bob Lee's Renaissance New Richmond. We've actually closely associated with a woman who has a lot of experience with Ohio cleanup. And her name is Becky Plaucha, and she's coming on board. She's associated with Renaissance New Richmond, and ours is a 24th in the village from 9 to noon. And we're going to be providing goodies and coffee, and Papa John's is providing pizza for everybody that's coming. And looks like we're going to be getting some nice volunteers come over from the Thomas More Research facility across the river from us, since theirs is, I think already all been done on their side. So we warmly welcome them. So we look forward to all the villages on the river in Claremont County is going to be involved. So we're real excited about that.
Well, Bob, that's great. Thanks. And boy, the Papa John's is a good deal. You guys know how to attract volunteers with food. I love it. Anybody else? One more.
Am I unmuted? I can't tell.
I can hear you, buddy.
Well, the Friends of Scioto Brush Creek, which isn't the river, but it feeds into the Scioto and the Ohio. They just had a creek sweep and pulled out the biggest haul they've ever done. There were like 37 tires and or 40 tires, something like that, and trash like crazy. It was a lot of fun. And of course that feeds into the river, and we had a really good day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thanks so much. And by the way, thank you for the articles you've been writing for the newspaper, the Portsmouth Daily Times. You've been really doing a great job covering the river and covering the Ohio Riverway activities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so fine. Thank you very much, Sarah and team. And you guys are rocking it. You have a meeting that you'll be inviting everybody to from different communities to do the next planning, and that'll be in July. And so we'll help promote that date for folks who want to get involved. Okay, let's move right along to Mark Jacobs, who will make a short presentation about the Conservation Committee and how they're doing. Mark?
Thanks, Brewster. Yeah, Christy apologizes. She couldn't be here. She had another meeting, so I will give a brief report on the Conservation Committee. All the conservation districts along the Ohio Riverway have been contacted and invited to join the committee, and I believe several new land trusts and districts have joined, so we'll continue to work on that. I think the GIS folks are still working on mapping conserved areas along the Ohio Riverway. I think that's coming along really, really well. Several funding opportunities were discussed, including opportunities through NRCS, Regional Conservation Partnership Program, has some money. U.S. Fish and Wildlife and National Fish and Wildlife also has some funding available for endangered species and things like that. And let's see, and those were the major points of the Conservation Committee. The next meeting, if anybody wants to join, will be July 6th at 10 a.m.
Great. Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, Mark. And I love those antlers behind you. Oh, man.
Well, thanks.
So, yeah, this is a very important committee. I mean, if we can preserve and protect more land on and close to the river, and also, of course, its tributaries, will go a long way to helping to restore the ecology of the Ohio River and open up access as well to people to the river and its tributaries. So thanks for that committee.
Yeah, well, one last thing I forgot to mention was that one issue was discussed that, as far as receiving large grants, apparently Ohio and Indiana seem to have the infrastructure ready to take on large grants, but apparently Kentucky does not. So I would imagine that is one issue that we will be working on in the next months to come.
Well, great. Hats off, man. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. Tourism is rocking. And I see we have Noelle and Mary Allen both on the call. And one or both of you, we'd love to hear an update for that exciting committee. Who would like to jump in?
Well, I can start, but then I'll let Noelle talk.
And Mary, please introduce yourself.
Yes, Mary Allen. I'm one of the tourism chairs, And we have been.
And you're also a
working on-
member of the city council in New Richmond, and you're on the
I
board
am,
of
and
the,
I'm on
you're
the
on the board
Ohio
of the Ohio Riverway. Great, thank you.
Okay, and so tourism, we've been meeting monthly, and we've been working on the top 5 things the visitors should see or do when they come to your community. And Noel has created and received input from members of our committee on a can't miss tourism form. And so I'm gonna let her, since she developed the form, talk if she's available. And then when she finishes, Joe Stelzer, who's also on our committee, is going to talk about the cycling survey that he sent out a little while ago. So Noel, are you
I'm
available?
here.
Okay.
Yep, I'm here. So we just created this form to hopefully make it easier for communities to participate in providing us with information. So even if you don't have a tourism person in your community, but you have somebody who's interested in promoting your community along the river. So whether that's somebody from your Chamber of Commerce, or if you're a part of the mayor's office, or whatever the case is, we encourage you to complete this form for your community. Now, you might have to collaborate if there's multiple people from your community that participate with the Ohio Riverway, so that we don't get 3 forms back with 3 different types of information. But what we're going to use this for is to really create some consistency in not only what gets posted on the website, but also in creation down the road of trip ideas and ways that people can engage with the river, but also with your community when they're on the river. So, or on a bike, or whatever the case is, along the Ohio River. So it's really important. I hopefully made it easy and intuitive enough. It's just a Google form. And the feedback that you provide is what we're going to use. So if we get multiple forms from multiple from the same community, I'll follow up and we'll, get you guys to figure out what you want to list. But the can't miss is the points of what is most important from a tourism really perspective and what can't be missed in your community. So whether it's a restaurant, it's an upcoming festival that happens on an annual basis, or it's a cultural attraction, whatever the case might be. Everybody has their things. We're asking for a minimum of 3, but you can provide up to 5. And there's optional types. So if you can do 1 of each, great. If you only have 3 really awesome restaurants or breweries or wineries or something, but you don't have a cultural attraction that you really want to promote, that's okay. So we made it hopefully easy enough for you to kind of pick and choose between what works best for your community. If you have questions, you're welcome to reach out to me or to Mary or Julie Kirkpatrick from our committee directly, and we can help you, navigate that form. But as those are collected, then we'll hopefully be able to work with Forest to make sure that all the communities have the information on the website. So this is also helping, keep, like I said, so somebody doesn't have 20 amazing things about their community. Say you're in Cincinnati, a big city, but then down the river in a smaller community like Rising Sun, they only have 2 or 3. So that's okay. Maybe they have 5. But theirs are different.
They have 20.
So they have 20 as well in Rising Sun.
So, yeah, so not only how to think, but also how to think about it so it's consistent. The information is consistent. And when we start working on those itineraries, we can extract and have a common format.
So I am posting the link for the form in the chat. So those of you that are very proactive, here is the link. If you don't have time or you need to send this on to somebody, you can copy and paste it and forward it to whoever you want. If you don't, then Forrest or whoever does the post meeting notes will send it out that way as well. And then we'll probably do some kind of a follow-up in a couple of weeks where this goes out again, just to everybody minimally that's on our tourism group or has indicated some kind of engagement with that to get us started. And then, but really it's important that we get feedback from all the little burgs and towns and, places that might even have, especially if you have some type of boat dock or place where people can stop along the river. It's super important. So appreciate your feedback and your time to fill this out. I really hope it doesn't take a super long time for anybody to complete.
Well, thank you very much, Noelle and Mary, and Julie, who's not able to be on the call from Meet NKY for all your leadership in this. But we're just trying to make it easy for every community to be able to share their wonderful assets. And as we build the website, as we figure out how to make it even more consumer friendly and market the heck out of it, it'll hopefully complement what you're all already doing to promote your own communities through your own communication, social media, etc. So thank you very much. And I see that Joe is a very active member of our committee, Stetzler, and he's also a member of our board. And Joe is chairing the effort to develop bike routes up and down the river. So Joe, I see you put your survey in the chat. Do you want to say something just for 15 seconds here about it?
Yeah, I'll just take 1 minute here. So the idea is to try to collect information about cycling events in your area. I'm trying to create a network of cycling influencers in your area, and also trying to identify cycling ambassadors in your area. And cycling influencers are people that I can network with and try to find out what's going on in the various communities. Cycling ambassadors, the concept is that would be the one person in your area that if somebody wants to come to your area and ride a bike, the ambassador can tell them, recommend places to ride, recommend places to stay, recommend places to eat, just create an experience around the cycling thing. Because part of the problem is when you try to go into a new area, you go blind. And if you have somebody in that area that knows it, it's going to make that experience a lot easier for people to come out and try it. So the survey, please fill it out and or forward it to anybody in your area that you think is a cycling influencer, and I'll work through the process after that. Right? At this point, we're just trying to build a network and then collect the information. So if you could fill it out and or forward it on to people, I appreciate it.
Excellent. Hey, thank you very, very much. That chat, the link to your survey is in the chat. Just want to call everybody's attention to that, as is the link to the form that Noelle referred to for communities to fill out to submit their biggest, most exciting attractions, destinations, and events. Okay, moving right along here. I just want to, we don't have official reports here, just want to note once again that we have individuals or organizations that are taking the lead on, number one, the Native American History and Culture Trail, enumerating all those publicly accessible spots, and that's being led by the Archaeological Research Institute in beautiful downtown Lawrenceburg. Number two, our friends with Berenger Crawford Museum are coordinating the development of a museum trail. They have already 110 art, history, culture museums up and down the river. So take the grandkids and do a museum tour. That'd be cool. Working on an Underground Railroad tour. There's so much rich history here. And it's a matter of putting it all in one place, using what everybody's already developed, not trying to reinvent the wheel to promote that. And finally, and this is Katie Sparks' favorite, she's coordinated that with Friendship State Bank, the wineries, distilleries, and breweries trail. We don't know what to call it. It's too long. So we have a contest to figure out what to tag that. But there are so many unique breweries, wineries, and distilleries along the Ohio River Way. We want to call people's attention to that and let them explore. Okay. Jumping right along, which I think we're pretty much on track, but I just also wanted to point out that we have Senator Brown's office from Ohio and Representative Landsman's office represented on the call. So we really appreciate you all reporting back to your principals. We met with both in Washington, and we really appreciate all your support for what we're doing here. And I just saw a suggestion, so maybe now is the time to put your ideas in there from Noelle, drink ORW. That may work. So put your ideas, what we call that brewery, winery, distillery trail in the chat. We'll take advantage of it. Okay, moving right along. Since our last meeting, the guide has actually, to the Ohio Riverway, has been printed 5 pallets. This is a big distribution job, and we've been working to get those out and about. And Forrest, who was the point editor for that, working with Wayne Gates in Ripley on it. But Forrest, take it away. Just want to give a quick update on where we are with the guide distribution.
We've had a great reception to the guide. Brewster, you led a lot of getting the guide out in bulk, and I think you said 15,000 copies are out already.
About 13,500.
13,500
with another 12,000 to go. Yeah.
Awesome. And we've had now probably about 175 individuals request copies of the guide as well, which has been a great boon for our individual membership program. But
As far
no,
away as Maine and Nebraska.
yeah, no, these aren't just folks along the river. They're folks from all over. And we had Florida as well. I know, just off the top of my head. But anyways, the guide has had a great reception. We're still getting it out. We still have boxes and boxes of it. But we'll get them out and already thinking about next year and how we can make the guide even better.
And Forrest, we've talked about doing a survey to get feedback about the guide. What from your point of view as folks who bought ads or are finding it helpful to distribute to promote your community as well? What about it is good? What about it could be improved? What about the timing for development of the project next year? Is there an alternative to the guide that we should consider that we haven't thought about instead of the printed version? I mean, obviously we have both the print and the digital, so that'll be coming. Just keep an eye for that. But I personally and David and the rest of us distributed a lot during the course of the paddle, and I just can't thank you all enough for all your hard work getting them out. And if you need additional copies of the guide, why don't you describe for bulk orders how we're going to do that, Forrest?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, just a couple days ago when we were in DC, it was fun to be handing them out and seeing all these officials and their staff look at them, and like seeing the deputy director of the National Park Service like flip through it page by page, like just.
They wanted extra copies to distribute to all their senior staff at the National Park Service, as well as the Appalachian Regional Commission and members of Congress. It was wonderful.
Yeah, but
Good.
yeah, and I don't think she's on this call today, but Susan Griffin Ward and all of our photographers that contributed need just such a shout out. But Susan Griffin Ward's photo, if you don't know, was on the cover, and I think that is really playing a role in helping create a larger brand for our region. It's just one more step in that process.
What organization does she represent?
Kentucky Waterways Alliance.
Excellent. Thank you. Just want to make sure they got credit for that. Okay. Wonderful, folks. Well, thank you, Forrest, for your leadership on that. You kicked butt. It was just great. Okay. Now for some fun. All right. As you all know, we took 10 days paddling down from Portsmouth to Louisville, the third annual Great Ohio River Challenge. And Dr. David Wicks, of course, is the quarterback for that project on behalf of the River City Paddle Sports Organization, which managed that project for the Ohio Riverway. So, Dr. Wicks, please take it away. David, can we hear you? I think you might be on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Mute. Sorry. So it just was a pleasure. We had great weather all the way around. We started up there in Portsmouth with a wonderful kickoff, big balloons and TV, and just was an amazing morning after a wonderful evening at Sean's house. We paddled on down to Vanceburg and just went to the Carter House and enjoyed the view. I think Vanceburg might have the prettiest view, and maybe that's what we could do in a contest sometime. But went on down to Maysville and walked around downtown and had lunch or dinner at M's Eatery, and then went to New Richmond and had a wonderful party there at the Front Street Cafe, and then paddled on over and stayed at Thomas More. But I missed Augusta, which was certainly, we can't miss it because we stayed at the Rosemary Clooney House and were hosted by Heather French Henry and Steve Henry, and that was just wonderful. After Thomas More, we went on down to Cincinnati and camped at Gilday Park, and it's just such a wonderful spot, and changed folks a little bit. And then got up super early in the morning and went to Rising Sun, and some people continued on and went back across the river and went to Rabbit Hash, but had a wonderful food truck process there, and then went on down to Vivi and were hosted by the fire department. It was just neat. And June 9th, we ended up in Madison and had a wonderful tour of Harlan Hubbard's paintings and had just amazing pizza also at Uncommon Pizza. And then for on our day paddling to Westport, we had a special stop at Payne Hollow and just got to walk around and sort of live that life of Mr. Hubbard, which he really does, drifting down the river. He did it for 88 years. So we got to experience some of the way he saw the world. And then went to Westport and had just an amazing, wonderful dinner again. and had a talk by Richard Nugent, who was the Courier Journal's magazine editor for 30 years and just did an amazing job about the Hubbards. And then we celebrated in June 11th down there in Louisville and had our mayor, Greenberg, welcome us. And it was just an amazing trip. So next slide there, Forrest. You know, we had a beautiful trip. I guess there we are, and just paddling these boats together. And one of the interesting things was the community that was built between us. And it was really a diverse set of people who represented all of Louisville. And the next slide. And we sort of had some great sunsets, you know, or sunrises. I'm a fan. If you ever want to do this, we believe in getting on the river before dawn because that's just when it's calm and cool. And we just want to give a super shout out to Jerry Schulte, who certainly provided us with all the drinks we could do, but also made sure we were safe.
You're talking about water, correct?
Yeah, all the drinks. That's right. That's right. All of the, well, Kool-Aid and everything else. We drank the Kool-Aid with Jerry. But then the next slide, Forrest, is that it had great coverage, and and everybody interpreted it differently. We were on the front page of the Cincinnati Enquirer, and it just worked out so well. And why it worked out so well, I believe, is some of the folks who were along with us, and we have two of them here just to give their perspective, and it's called Mr. Catfish and Miss Ella. So Mr. Catfish, take it away.
How's it going? I would just say along from all the, can you hear me?
Yes, and say where you're from there, buddy.
Oh, good. I'm from Ludlow, Kentucky. I would say along, other than just the personal and health benefits of that paddle, I think the biggest thing I took away was in Ludlow here, we're a small town. We have 4,500 residents, and I served on my council. And one of the things that all of us kind of have is we struggle as small cities to, figure out how to get people in. And that's the biggest thing I took away, is that we're stopping in all these cities along the way. We're all in the same boat, and being able to talk to them and give us this common goal is the biggest takeaway. So it was just so invigorating, and knowing that we're all in this together and we have this big common goal, it gives us something to shoot for. And that's aside from every moment on the water was just as amazing as the next. It really was just a life-changing experience, and I cannot recommend it enough, even if you only get out there for one day. And just to paddle along with David and his knowledge, I feel like I graduated from a 4-year school just from paddling 5 days. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough to get out there.
How about Ella?
Yeah, I'm Ella, and I'm a student at the University of Louisville. And I can really only echo just the same things, and gratitude for the community, just because we entered such a family of support and encouragement the moment we got on the river. And I had the privilege of being able to share it with my mom too. And we came home telling my family all about the new memories and the joy that we had from the time on the river. And so it's just been really gratifying to be able to look back in just these short amount of days and have so much fondness already. And I know I'll have those memories for the rest of my life. And I'm just really thankful to have been able to learn so much about the biodiversity and the beautiful wildlife of the Ohio River, and as well as the history of the river through the Hubbards and the historic river towns, as well as the present work that's being done to advocate for the river. And that's just something I'm really excited and honored to be a part of now, is the conservation work for all that we have ahead. So big thank you from here in Florida.
And just parenthetically, David, I could point out that Ella gave a marvelous off-the-cuff set of comments at the finish line, where we had, as you know, the mayor of Louisville, Mayor Greenberg, and you were just fantastic. And you are a sustainability master's student, as you mentioned, at the University of Louisville. So we look forward to working with you. I'm sorry, back to you, David.
Well, I just wanted to thank both Catfish and Ella for those comments. And it really is a both development of that intentional community of the people in the boat, but it's also sort of investigating and understanding the people who we visit as we go on down, and those natural communities. As we think about next year, one of the ideas that we bounced around with Mr. Catfish was paddling up and visiting several farms, and figuring out how we can think about promoting the rural and agricultural community as we paddle, as well as the river towns, and sort of get a complete picture of the river. Not that we didn't this time. You know, it's just amazing to me. We had one man, Stacy Burkhart, who his family lived on the river for 6 generations. They have about 500 acres in Trimble County. And we saw 4 eagles on his property just fly around. And he believes that the wildlife is coming back, and not necessarily as much as it was 6 generations ago, but certainly there is that, you know, there are those families that have those historical connections and those understandings. And it really is about, you know, understanding a time, you know, the river over time. So think about next year, and if you have any ideas, please get with me. And it was a pleasure serving the Ohio River Way.
Thank you, David, for your leadership again, and to all of those who hosted us and showed us their gracious generosity and opening the doors of their community for us to see and better understand how we may be able to help serve you better and engage communities up and down the river and promoting the great Ohio River Way. So very cool. Thank you.
Rambunctious Rick's just going to jump in for a quick moment here. Our alliterations were abound throughout the entire trip, but I would suggest that I may have seen as many eagles as I did barges along the Ohio River. So with that wildlife, like David said, we had a blast helping Ella identify and look for all sorts of different wildlife out there. And so, yeah, it was quite remarkable. So thank you all for the logistics and all the behind the scenes that occurred to make this such a wonderful event. So
thanks for joining us, Rick. Appreciate it very much. You veteran teacher, you. Okay, moving right along, folks. Now our last bit of business is really an important one. And I'd like to welcome our dear friend, Andrea Ireland, who's been associated with us through the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program for the last 3 years. And Andrea, we'd love to have you introduce the wonderful folks that you, through the National Park Service, are providing to us going forward. So take it away, Andrea.
Sure, Brewster. A couple of other things. First, I'm representing Moses Chun, who is also with RTCA. He was on 2 days of the paddle, and he said, and then he had to fly home. He said his arms are very sore. He can't even make it to the keyboard. So he had a wonderful time on the paddle, but he couldn't be here this morning. Also, I wanted to say that the deputy director that you met with, Mike Reynolds, he is an awesome guy. He is well respected within the Park Service, very approachable, gets things done, and really gets what you're talking about. So I think you really scored in meeting with him. One other thing that Russ Clark and I recently, about 2 weeks ago, we presented at the National Conservation Training Center for a workshop called Balancing Nature and Commerce. There were 6 gateway communities for public lands, and we presented the River Town Review project and toolkit. It was great. We got a lot of good feedback. People were very excited about it. And thank you for being the guinea pig to get that all set up. We got a lot of great feedback from those communities on that. They're not all river communities, but they saw the potential for what they could use out of that. So spreading the word. And finally, the NPS is very happy to let you know that we have secured funding for 2 full-time experienced workers to work with Ohio Riverway. We have John Olivier, who will be working on the rollout of the toolkit with the communities, another Rivertown rendezvous.
Excuse me, hey,
and some other things.
Jerry, could you turn off your audio? I'm sorry. Schulte, go ahead, Andrea.
And also we had, and we were also just signed on Jerry Schulte, who will be doing asset inventory for a future brochure or guide or map of the Ohio Riverway for National Water Trail designation. And I think we have a few minutes that John and Jerry can introduce themselves. So John, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I'm John Olivier. I'm a retired Parks and Recreation guy. I actually live up in northeastern Ohio on a fantastic river, the Cuyahoga River, that is in the background of Andrea's picture right now. I got so fortunate to find out about the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program early last year, and was able to get signed on for that and worked on part of the team that worked on all of the Rivertown reviews and the summary and the rendezvous number 1, and then eventually the toolkit. And it's a fantastic experience. And I'm really happy that our involvement is going to be expanded now. And, providing a workshop for many, many more communities and see how many more we can get going. And just a quick note on, again, a retired Parks and Rec guy with about 30 plus years of experience, but a lot of relevant experience to this project with marina and campground and boating access and paddling access, planning and projects and administration and all that kind of stuff. And also actual water trail development, working with Andrea on a couple of those. So I'm excited. And I was down for a couple of days, didn't get a chance to paddle this year, but man, do I want to paddle next year.
Great. Thank you, John. And we're happy to continue to have you on board. You did such great work with Rivertown review work. And Jerry Schulte, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It's great to be aboard with you guys and really looking forward to this work. Meeting with the communities, working with John on the rollout of the toolkit, and then working with the communities that we've already done the Rivertown reviews with to see where they are with them and to evaluate the progress and to evaluate the benefits of the implementation of the Rivertown review information. So really looking forward to it. I've got about 35 years doing environmental research on the Ohio River and working with a lot of the communities there. So it's just like old times for me.
Great, thank you, and welcome aboard again. We look forward to the work that you're going to be doing as well. So again, that's 2 full-time experienced workers that the NPS is providing, paying for the Ohio Riverway in our continued partnership. Somebody asked the question about the names of the towns and communities in the Rivertown Review. All of that information is on the Ohio Riverway website. I don't think I could rattle them off, but we did 12 Rivertown reviews for 14 different communities. Many of them are represented here and have been extremely important and valuable in the progress and the leverage of the Ohio Riverway and developing into what it is now. So thank you to those communities, and I invite you to take a look. I believe, Francis put in the chat some information that you can go and look at too about the Rivertown Review project.
Andrea, thank you very much. It's always wonderful to have you on board you've continued to be on board. We're not losing you, right? All right.
No, we keep getting sucked back in, Brewster. It's just keep on going.
Well, it's we are so fortunate to have a partnership with the National Park Service. It gives, I think, incredible credibility to what's going on with this project, and is a real boost to every single community up and down the river to be associated with the National Park Service. And ultimately, we are aiming to apply to, and whether it's this year or next year, to the Department of the Interior to be named a national water trail, which the Cuyahoga River behind you is. It was a big deal. It's not yet. Oh, well, then we'll try to beat you guys to it. Okay, good. So there's only like 33 national water trails in America. It's a very tight, difficult, challenging designation to get from the National Park Service and the Department of the Interior. It means it will be on their national website, promoted it. We can use the logo for all the signage. It's a big deal, and will be a big deal for every one of our communities that will be along that trail. So that's in many ways what we're looking to do, and with the National Park Service staff helping us make that happen. So thank you very much. Now let me ask folks, we have a few minutes here, and I know that Eric Oberg has a quick announcement to make about a project that affects trails in Ohio. So let's have Eric say what he has to say in 1 minute, and then we'll have a little bit of time if anybody else wants to share an announcement. We will then be doing a water cooler conversation right after we finish this meeting, promptly at 11. So we have just 2 minutes to go. So Eric.
Thanks, Brewster. I will keep it to just 30 seconds. And I just
Good.
put my
I'm
colleague
timing you,
Brian
dude.
Housh's name and email address in there, because if you are able and interested, please reach out to Brian. House Bill 64. This is just for Ohio partners on the call. Currently, there's a bill in the Senate. It's House Bill 64. It is a fairly broad bill, but it's really targeting park districts. It would disallow the use of eminent domain by park districts in Ohio for the development of recreational trails. And there's a million reasons why it's terrible policy, but if your organization or you personally as a constituent are willing to write a letter to the committee, please just reach out to Brian or myself. We can get a template to you. We are optimistic it's being slow rolled, but it's really a terrible, terrible bill that would stifle trail development in Ohio for years to come. So,
well, thank you very much for the update. We appreciate it. And you have Brian's email address in there to follow up, correct? Good. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. And actually, we're changing the lineup a little bit here, and I'd like to have Francis Manone, who is our incredible development director and advisor here, share some exciting news about our next steps in terms of leadership on our staff. Francis.
Yeah. So we have, in addition to all the awesome things we talked about, and most of us know already, but we're in the process of hiring a full-time director through the Environment Institute at U of L. And just as a status update on that, we had a number of awesome candidates, and we are in the process of making selections. So hopefully by this time next month, we will have identified a full-time leader for us who can help coalesce all of these things and really help amplify what we're doing.
Thank you, Francis. Appreciate all your leadership and help with us. Wow. Okay, folks, it is exactly 11 o'clock, and we try to be very tight with these meetings so that you can get on to your other business. But we do have what we call a water cooler deal, which means you just stay on the phone and stay on the call for a while, and chew the fat and share reactions to the meeting, share what you're doing in your community, etc. So thank you very, very much for your time and attention. And we'll see you next month, third Thursday at 10 o'clock. So thank you so very much, everybody. Get back to work. Or stay on to chew the fat with us. And I can't buy you a beer, but have a virtual coffee. Okay. Thank you, folks. Stay on if you'd like. All right.
The Ohio House bill has it out, not just there's the budget debate, and the state of Ohio has it out for lots of things, not just trails. So don't feel like we're getting picked on, but there's lots of things that's getting picked on. And we need to prevent it from happening in many ways.
Yeah. Good. So any reaction to the meeting? A lot of stuff happening, right? Anybody have anything to say about how this all is going from your perspective, or advice or counsel?
I would just say as a newbie, do it all. It's amazing. It's very exciting. It's, you know, accolades to you all for all the heavy lifting you've been doing. There's going to be continued work going forward that is just exciting to see what you all have done so far.
Well, thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Rick, by the way, in addition to being a teacher, helps kids learn how to build boats. Amazing. Anybody else?
Well, I just want to say to David that something I learned by going in a kayak out of Portsmouth with you guys in the lead is that a person in one boat cannot catch up to 8 people in a big boat.
Well, that is normally the case. There are times where one person in a very fast boat can go much faster than the Voyager canoe. So part of it is operator energy. But
that's right. That's right. But
the bottom line
I didn't
is
see any. Yeah.
all these boats have different speeds, and unfortunately we had to make it all the way down to Vanceburg, and it was just a wonderful way to kick off our paddle with having all of you escort us at the beginning. It just really made us feel special. So you know, I certainly look forward to working more with Portsmouth and that whole Scioto River. I think that waterfront you have is just wonderful. Great access.
Well, actually, I was down in Rome the next morning because I know you said you were taking off at 6. So I got there at like 6:30 and I was watching and I thought, oh, I've missed him. And barges galore were going by, just passing, you know, upriver, downriver. And I thought, how are they going to handle this? And then I looked up and I saw you guys just hugging the shore over there in Lewis County. And, you know, I yelled, but I doubt you even heard me, but I was just down on the shore, just cleaning up and waiting for you to go by. So I did catch a glimpse of you the next morning.
Well, how wonderful. And, you know, what we need to do better next time maybe is to have our online tracker more widely publicized. So you can, you know, because we did have a little code that you could click on, and it's updated every 2.5 minutes of where we are and how fast we're going, and provides a track. So our onshore fan club could have been larger, even though we did appreciate all those who waved to us as we went by. Then now Rick is the social one, as with Ella, their boat was much more communicative than ours.
Well, we also want to thank Joe Setzler for he has a condo in Ripley, which is now going to be called the Hamptons, correct, of Greater Cincinnati. Ripley, the Hamptons of Greater Cincinnati. But Joe is so kind to host us for coffee and restroom breaks in beautiful downtown Ripley, Ohio. Thank you, buddy.
Brewster, what I heard this past weekend is they're calling Higginsport the Cape Cod of Cincinnati.
That's what they want to call themselves, the Cape Cod. That's right.
Right. So, you know, a lot of different names being thrown around for the various areas.
That's right. Good enough. Anybody else? Anything to chip in?
Joe, let me ask you a question about Louisville participation in your bike survey. Has there been much?
I don't think so. I got to look. I think I've had 7 responses so far, but and my other nonprofit deal I'm doing right now is the Cincinnati Cycle Club, and I'm responsible to reach out to all the regional other clubs in the areas, the Louisville Bicycling Club, the Bluegrass, all the rest, and I'm going to make contacts directly with the president of the Louisville Club. So I'll dig out that information through direct contact. So
we have a nice person who helps coordinate our hike, bike, and paddle with about 10,000 bicyclists go, and that's Ronell Brown. And Forrest can introduce you to him, and he's part of the mayor's event team and is very willing to get involved. And so Forrest, or you can ask Forrest for his email or an introduction.
Yeah, Forrest, if you can forward me the contact information, I'll reach out. I don't have a problem making a cold call. So but that, that's going to be part of it, is just trying to dig out the information from all these various communities. The survey will come back with some information, but the heavy lifting is going to be just making phone calls and getting people to collect the information that way.
Excellent. And Jody wanted to see if you were in touch with the Connex folks in Portsmouth, and if not, we can connect you to them.
Actually, I'm going to go down there Saturday. They have a ride in Shawnee State Park, so I'll make connections with them down there. So I'm going to
You're way ahead of
do
us.
their ride in Shawnee. So
yeah. So I see that my friend Sarah Orlando is still on the call, and Sarah runs basically the clean boating initiatives, clean marina initiatives in the state of Ohio, but is coordinating. Maybe you can say what you plan to do this fall that we'll try to help you with there, Sarah, along the Ohio.
Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
Thanks. I was going to put something in the chat. For those of you on the call, we will be having our first Ohio Clean Marina certification workshop in really Southern Ohio that we've had since the inception of our program over 15 years ago. So we run a voluntary environmental certification program for marinas in Ohio. The workshop will be hosted in Cincinnati on Tuesday, October 3rd. It'll be in the afternoon. We'll be putting out a more formal save the date probably in early August. But it will be open to Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Even though we'll be covering the Clean Marinas best practices, in my mind, any marina that wants to go above and beyond and help our ecosystem is more than welcome. And we'll be sharing some education. It'll be about a 2-hour workshop in the afternoon. So if any of you have any contacts that you think, it doesn't have to be a marina, it could be somebody that's interested in learning more about helping recreational boating improve their impact on water quality, we'd love to have you there. So we want to thank Brewster for his help in finding a site and location, and hope to see you there. Thanks.
It's going to be a floating meeting. It's going to be on the head boat of the Ohio River Launch Club, founded in 1898, where I have an old houseboat with no engine. So we'd love to have you all come. I'm buying the beer. That'd be cool. And just to know, we do have an article that your colleague Tracy co-wrote that's in the guide about clean boating. So appreciate you guys doing that. Anybody else have anything to chip in?
I have another one for you, Joe. And Stephen Curtis, who originally made our promotional video for the Ohio River Recreation Trail, which I still think is one of the best videos we have that describes the essence of it, recently bicycled from Louisville to Cincinnati in one day. He's done it a couple times. And so he's a long distance bicycler who really gets what we do. And I'll introduce you to him as well. He's just a influencer here in Louisville.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. I mean, trying to, and the key is going to be is to network all these people together. So, and then we'll try to figure out how to get the information disseminated through the websites and social media. So the first step is to figure it out, to identify, and then we'll try to figure out the next step is how to communicate it to everybody.
Excellent. Anybody else? Anything to chip in here? Hey, David Lavender, if you're still on the call, why don't you introduce yourself to us, everybody, and thanks for your help with Huntington.
Oh yeah, hey guys, I'm Dave Lavender, and I'm a board member with the Huntington Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and kind of lifelong river rat, and so paddler, and just very Catholic friend of mine, and he had told me about your all's group and what you're doing, and yeah, just really inspired by the collaboration and the sort of depth and width of what you guys are doing conservation wise and tourism wise, and I just love it all. And so trying to get the Huntington area folk on board, and so kind of I've just been hopping on a couple meetings just to yeah, just stay updated on kind of what activities you guys are doing and what surveys and what kind of initiatives that you guys are pushing forward. And so anyway, yeah, so just kind of on as an observer and ally, and hopefully we'll be on as a member. I'm kind of going to pitch that to our full board. I also helped do this will be the I think it's the 8th one. I do like a fall sort of river cleanup in Huntington, in honor of a good buddy of ours that passed away. We did it right after his funeral. He was a Ohio River biologist at Marshall and had a brain aneurysm and died. And so he kept a boat on the river, and I did a ton of paddle trips with Jeff Kovach. And so anyway, I kind of keep his memory alive by doing a big river cleanup every first weekend in November. And so anyway, I'm very much sort of invested in our river. I grew up in Franklin Furnace and kind of grew up on the river, and early disciple of Harlan Hubbard and all the good people who lived on the river and made it just part of our life and culture. And so anyway, I'm just sort of observing, but hope to be a member and take a bigger role in supporting what you guys are doing. I love it, and I appreciate you all kind of getting this group together. I think it's
so Dave, you also work for the state of West Virginia, correct? In DNR.
Yeah, so I work for the West Virginia Department of Economic Development.
Oh, that's right.
I actually, in the last year, I've been rebooting our West Virginia film office. So I help folks come into our region to make film and TV productions. And so I sort of do whatever it takes to kind of help them with locations, finding professional crew and services.
Great. Well, that's very cool. Well, I'm so glad you could join us, and thanks for going into more depth on what you are all about and connecting. By the way, Visit Ashland just joined us as an official dues paying tourism bureau.
Great. Yeah. Coming up the road, so I think we should be a part of it. So it's we're of course all tied together.
Yep.
And so want to be a part of the solutions and getting more people aware of the river and concerned about its health. Yep.
Francis has a follow-up here.
Yeah, Dave, we should connect about the ARC work that we're doing and the potential to potentially expand east towards you. But can you send me your email in the chat, and I'll reach out.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. I have it too, Francis, so I'll make sure I get it. So there it is right there. Okay, good. Well, listen, folks, it's about a quarter after. We had 15-minute water cooler chat. And I really appreciate you all taking the time to be on the main call and sticking around and chewing the fat here. David, anything else to say?
No, I'm very good, and it's just so exciting, all the energy and working with the National Park Service and the Washington D.C. work that all of you've done. We have a great future in front of us. I do believe it.
Great. Forrest, anything else to wrap up?
No, I don't think I have anything for the good of the order other than thank you all very much.
Take care, buddy. Okay. Thank you, folks. We'll catch you, I'm sure before now and next month's meeting, but be safe and have fun out there. Take care. Thank you.